Ugh, ads are such poop. Subscribe to Acast Plus now to skip ads and more for just $1 a month. Click the link in our show notes to learn how. And hey, we're on Patreon too. Your support helps cover the cost of running a podcast. For $2 a month, you can get early access to all our episodes ad-free, plus bonus episodes exclusive to Patreon subscribers only. Visit patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse to sign up now. Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband.
Wife.
Do you know what today is?
Today is a day.
It's Q&A Saturday.
Yeah, it is.
You stared off into space to count the days to make sure. Wait.
No, I just had to make sure because we were running late. You know?
Yeah.
And
Well, okay.
It wasn't my fault.
No, but to be fair, I had a really hard time coming up with a Q&A for just the 4 chapters. You know?
I thought it was more that you had a hard time remembering to even get it ready.
No, that too.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I think that I had a hard time remembering to get it ready because 4 chapters.
And then that put a block in your brain so that you didn't do anything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
why we're coming out late today, just by the way.
Shut up. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about the difference between Chronicles and Samuel and Kings and why.
Okay, let's get into this.
Okay. Okay, so our biggest question was, what the fuck is up with this chronicler being so in love with David, right?
Yeah.
This is gross.
It really is.
He is so in love with him. He changed the story. He left some shit out.
I mean,
right?
it was flagrant.
I knew you were going to say that word.
Yeah, I was hunting for it in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I found a little bit of reason as to why. It still kind of smacks of apologist to me. Yeah. But, I put it out there, okay?
Sure.
All right. So, the books of Samuel and Kings, like 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings, they were written to detail the story, right? To tell you, like a report. Like, this is the shit that happened. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever.
Sure.
And to explain how the Israelites ended up in the Babylonian exile.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the point of those books, by the authors of those books, was a report of history, like looking back kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And conversely, Chronicles was written to an almost entirely Judahite, meaning Judah audience.
Yeah.
Because by then...
So they're right into the fan base, basically.
They're right into the fan base, and the Northern Kingdom had been gone for quite some time by that point.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're just coming out of the Babylonian exile, and they're questioning who they are as a people and what's up with them, right?
Okay.
And so the Chronicle is telling this story of how great David is as a way of showing...
Like rally the troops?
Rally the troops and help tie them back together, help unite them. So it was written in a style that showed the Israelite leaders at their best. And so the point of that book, or these books...
But let me just clarify something. According to the Bible, lying is wrong. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to have that out on the table before we went further here.
And apologists would agree with you, but they would say these are not outright lies.
Oh shit.
They are just different versions of the same story from different perspectives that highlight different things for different reasons.
One of which was written way further after all this stuff happened than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a poster over his bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is totally, like, the book itself, Chronicles, so far, is just an apologist take on the earlier books of the Bible. That's all it is.
But it's not written to be an apologist thing. It's written, okay, so what they're saying is that Samuel and Kings was written on the past, whereas Chronicles was written to look forward to the future.
Okay.
Coming out of the exile.
But we do a lot of looking at David in the past in this book, and how wonderful and great and not imperfect in any way whatsoever, and skipping over a bunch of stories that made him look lesser.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's lies by omission at the very least. And it's just, they're trying to paint him in such a light. I understand. They're trying to make, rally the troops. They're trying to get Israel to come together as a team, right? But at the same time, you're putting this book in with the other book, and
that's not fair.
Well, okay.
That's not fair to say, because it's not like there was just this great stapled together thing that they kept adding to.
Got it.
They didn't just say, we're going to put this with the other one.
Right. That's fair.
I mean, and I'm not trying to say that the chronicler is awesome. I'm just saying, his point in writing it was entirely different. And he had no way of knowing that it was going to end up in this whole big, gigantic document that was going to all be stapled together that thousands of years later we would all be reading.
Okay, well, regardless, I'm mad at the people that still print the Bible with both of these versions in there. Because would you be as mad if the Bible was presented as, isn't it cool these people wrote all these different things, just a historical text? No, you know what? Yeah, no. If so that's very much the way that Greek and Roman mythology is presented.
Mm-hmm,
a bunch of different stories that are slightly different from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
And
because they tell overlapping stories that come at odds to each other.
Definitely, but they don't present their gods today as real things. They are not presented as actual things that we have to fight in courts and that we have to fight our neighbors about.
No, true.
And the fact that this is why it pisses me off.
No, I totally agree, but I just want to make sure that our anger is pointed at the right direction. It should not be pointed at the chronicler for sucking. And it should not be pointed at the early Israelites for, mucking shit up. It should be pointed at the Christians today who are abusing these historical texts for their own ends.
Right, and not recognizing and admitting that there are faults in the book.
Yeah.
Because the only, you live around here with me in the Midwest, and what we hear probably most often is that the Bible is the Word of God.
Well, my parents have said we take a very literal view. And I'm like, but you can't, though, if you read it. You cannot take a literal view because it literally contradicts itself from sometimes page to page.
Right.
And in this case, an entire book undoes several things.
Right.
Yeah. Not just one entire book. It undoes several entire books.
Right.
So you can't read it literally. So I think this was just a good, solid reminder, because you and I are quick to hate on the Bible itself and hate on the Israelites and, this whole thing. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I want to use it as a reminder, or use this moment as a reminder that it's not the book's fault that it's being abused. And it is actually a really, really cool set of historical documents, not as history themselves, but as representative of what how different people how different people wrote at the time, how different people viewed their history, how different people wanted to be remembered, and what all of their different cross purposes were. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to forget that.
No, much like we shouldn't forget about Greek and Roman mythology, but at the same time, right now, it's hard to differentiate between the the historical value of these stories versus the real pain and suffering that happens because of them.
Oh, I totally have no problem separating those two ideas in my head. Like, I can definitely, as a woman, as a person who just had my bodily autonomy stripped away from me, I have zero problem remembering that Christians suck and are using this book to abuse people.
Right. Well, I think that a lot of people do have problems differentiating between what the Bible is and what the Bible is doing.
Right.
They see it all as one thing. So that's why I'm saying I think that it's too early, too soon, maybe, to pull it apart as a historical context. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't discuss it, because it is definitely part of the context.
Sure.
But when it comes to where we are in society today, I do think that we need to keep tearing down the constructs of the Bible and berating them for what they've done and put into this tome, because it's not good. It's not for what we are trying to do today in society, and as far as laws that they're trying to base off of this thing, it is not good for society, and we need to break it down to the point where it does become a mythology.
I agree. I think that there's room for both, though. And I think that pointing out over and over again how harmful the people are today and how harmful this book is being used doesn't have to be at odds with remembering what this book actually is, and just every once in a while pointing out, don't forget, you guys, this is just a collection of myth stories.
Right.
Like, I don't see those two notions as being at odds. And so finding out why the chronicler wrote as he did, it doesn't make me like the books of Chronicles anymore.
I guess I'm thinking of the people that, and there are people that listen to our podcast that are Christian, and I'm thinking of them as, you need to. I think that what I would like to get to in society, what would make maybe society a better place. You don't have to ditch Christianity, right? I don't care. That's fine. You have your Christianity. You do whatever you want with it. But let's admit where we're starting from.
Yeah.
Let's admit where these stories, what they are and what they actually say. Because right now we don't admit that, like, right. as a general in society, we don't admit that the Bible is contradictory. We don't admit that there is so much wrong and bad in the Bible. You know, like, those are things that are glossed over and they're tidied up for you by pastors and preachers, and put into a nice little box with a bow on top and said, here's your nice little view that you're supposed to have because of this book. Right. We don't go any further than that as a society.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
I know. I'm just railing a little bit. So.
I know. You are really angry, and rightfully so. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't be angry. This book and the way it's written and the fact that it contradicts itself, that's the part that you're concentrating on, and that, again, rightfully so. I'm not telling you to think different.
No, I know.
I'm just telling you where I'm coming from is a slightly different place, and I'm thinking about the historical context of different peoples having different
takes on the same,
different takes and different reasons and methods and purposes, and that part, the science of it, the sociology of it, the history of it, that part excites me.
Throwing science in there.
I mean, the science of how people behave.
Sure, okay.
That's right. Sociology. Yeah. Okay. Not that the Bible is a science. Right. No. Yeah. Sorry. I know what I mean in my head, and when I say science with relation to the Bible, I never mean to indicate that the Bible is a scientific thing.
No.
I mean the science of how people behave and the reasons behind what they did.
Sure. Okay.
And that part fascinates me. So that's what I was taking out of this whole experiment here.
I don't know why I do know kind of why I'm so mad at religion. I never grew up with it as part of my life, but I grew up around it very much. And I think, you know me well enough to know that I do not like being micromanaged. I do not like being told I'm wrong.
No, I know that.
I mean,
I know that more than anybody.
I know my right. Yeah. But it's just that I grew up in a community that constantly let me know I was wrong about this, and that didn't let me question things, and that told me I should go to church, and they tried to micromanage my life through this. I was told that I needed to do this. I needed to get saved. I needed to do these things, and by my friends,
get God in your life.
Yeah, by friends and friends' families, and I mean, I think that's why I'm so mad, because it's just, and my experience is nowhere near what people had to go through that actually lived through this and got indoctrinated.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was on the fringes of having to deal with it somewhat because I was adjacent to it.
Sure.
And it just pissed me off. It pissed me off because I didn't even understand what it was. And I still am struggling a little bit. Sometimes,
Well, I think that there is room for that anger. And I think that there is room for hating the Bible the way it's written. The stories are dumb. They're boring. They don't make sense. I think there's room for all of that. But one of my favorite phrases, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Let's also, though, remember that this is also an insight into how people lived and thought and believed back then.
Okay.
And that part is cool.
Let me take a poll in this house right now.
Okay.
So if you had the choice to either get rid of Christianity and the Bible in full or preserve it as it is, which would you choose?
Get rid of it.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
But as long as it's here to stay, I love learning history.
Yeah.
Now.
Right.
I didn't always. I think that's why I'm so enthusiastic and eager to embrace, that's what these people thought. I'm really excited to look at this now because I didn't always like history.
Right.
And so it's a novel idea to me, even still, that I can appreciate how people used to live.
Gotcha. All right, is that pretty much all we had for today?
That is pretty much all we had for today.
All right. Sorry this came out late, everybody, and we'll be back later. Are we going to put it out tonight?
I think so.
Okay, so we'll be back later tonight with the, what is
wrap up.
Oh, yeah, the wrap-up.
First Chronicles wrap-up.
And then we'll be back tomorrow with First Chronicles Contradiction episode. And we'll have the weekly replay at that point later in the day, too. And we'll get all these out on time-ish.
I mean, on time is relative because these are not regular
this is our podcast,
sections.
Damn it.
Well, they're not regular sections. We can put them out whenever the fuck we want.
Right, that's true.
On time is whenever the fuck we say it is.
Got it. I just have an inflated view of when our on time is, I guess.
Okay, this one is a Q&A Saturday. This one did come out late, period, the end.
But it still came out on a Saturday.
It still came out on Saturday, but it came out late on Saturday.
Right.
The other two are not regular. They could come out whenever we say.
All right. Works for me.
So if they come out tonight, great. If they come out tomorrow, that's great too.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys sometime.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.